Boom, and here we are live on, I want to say, episode number 82 of Get Valiant.
The big 8-2, man. Where have the previous 81 gone?
Yeah, all in the past, apparently. So, yeah, we're starting about an hour later than normal. Not sure if anybody is going to care or watch us live. Hopefully, people will check this out at some point. But I selfishly pushed the time back so that I could go watch Deadpool 2, and I regret nothing.
So you liked it?
It was so good, dude. I love the first Deadpool movie. I can't stand Deadpool in comics by himself, but he's awesome. Like when they've done the Deadpool versus Punisher comics, though that was hilarious. They did Deadpool versus Old Man Logan. That was pretty good. Not quite as good as the Punisher one, but in those kinds of situations, Deadpool's awesome. And I think that the first movie they kind of used Colossus and Negasonic Teenage Warhead um, for Deadpool to kind of play off of. Whereas in this one, um, you've got Cable and, he puts X Force or whatever together. And, you know, um, yeah, I think that they just did a really good job of surrounding him with the kind of characters that he needs to be surrounded with. Um, I think that coming out of this movie, it's going to be really hard not to love Cable, and it's going to be even more difficult not to love Domino. Like Domino was awesome. Um, Zazie Beats really killed it. Yeah, it was a great movie. I would rate it very highly. I am probably going to try to convince my wife that we should go see it again tomorrow.
That's pretty sweet. I don't think I'm gonna get the chance this weekend to see it, but I like the first one too. And I'm kind of in the same boat as you, where I don't really like the comics anymore. I used to like the comics that Deadpool had back in like the '90s, but I think now it's too much of like the fourth wall breakage. It's a little too silly. It's sillier than it used to be, like when he first came out. That it kind of I've really lost a lot of interest with the character, but I do think the first movie is excellent, and I just recently rewatched that. Me and my wife loves that one too. So at some point we're gonna go see it. It does look really good.
Yeah, I highly recommend it. I actually watched um, the first Deadpool last night, right before I went to bed, and then in preparation to go see number two today. And I don't know. That's definitely not necessary. It's not like you have to know everything that happened in the first one to appreciate the second one. But at least if you've seen and enjoyed the first one, you can be pretty confident you're going to enjoy the second one.
So
Um,
here's the question I have, because I've talked to a lot of people and they haven't spoiled anything for me, which is good. But a lot of people that I know that have already gone to screenings have felt like they like this one better than the first one. Do you think this one's at least on par with the first movie?
I think it's on par with the first movie. Yeah, I would agree with that. Um, I mean, as far as being, I've seen people saying that this one's better than the first one. Um, I don't know. I've seen the first Deadpool movie so many fucking times that it'd be really hard for me to like. I'll have to see this one probably one or two more times before I can even start thinking about whether the first or second one is better. Um, I do know that like I had really high expectations going into this. I try not to do that to myself because that's kind of the road to disappointment. But even so, I was just absolutely jacked, and it did not disappoint at all. Like it was, yeah, it was a great movie. Oh shit, Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool. He's got it. He's nailed it. I think the rest of the casting was really good. Um, there were a couple people I didn't even realize was in the movie. I didn't realize that Bill Skarsgård was oh my god, I don't even remember his character's name now.
Spoiler
But
alert!
Huh?
Spoiler alert!
What?
I'm just saying, don't say something if no one knows. I don't know. I didn't know he was in the movie.
Oh, it wasn't like it was hidden or
Oh,
anything.
I know. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I mean, I know we're all here for Valiant, but
No, I'm just saying I never like noticed that he was the character, but now it makes sense that like I saw a thing about a screening and Bill Skarsgård was there and it was like, oh, okay. Now I know why Bill Skarsgård was there. Um, but just because I just didn't realize. But anyway, no, it was awesome. Like the jokes were hilarious. Like everything that all the jokes that they point to in the trailers pay off really well in the movie. There are scenes that they showed in the trailer that they didn't use the same joke in the movie, and I thought that that was cool because then it um,
misdirection.
yeah, well, not necessarily misdirection, but you get to know the funny joke that was in the trailer, and then you get another funny joke in the movie instead of seeing the same joke that you already saw in the trailer. It's not like it changes the scenes any, it just gives you another joke. And I thought that was awesome. So
Spilled my water all over the place.
great job.
Excellent.
So that was Deadpool 2. I'd be happy to talk more about it after you get to see it.
Did you see
But
Infinity War by chance?
I'm sorry.
Did you see Infinity War?
Yeah, I did see Infinity War. Went to see that when it opened as well. That was absolutely insane.
We went to it, and probably right around the time when Thanos gets the Soul Stone, which I don't want to get into that part or anything, but like when that happened, the fucking power went out in the theater.
Whoa.
Everybody's just like, what the fuck? And
That
it
reminds
was,
me. That's like when The Dark Knight came out, and that was like the biggest fucking thing at the time. And I went to see that on opening night, and you know the scene where the Joker's blowing up the hospital?
yeah,
Yeah, it froze right there while he was messing with the detonator. It just it
it's it sucks so bad because we had set up our babysitter and everything, and we were like, we had a really tight window. We had to be back to pick up our kids by a certain time. There was just no, could be late. And the power went out before our movie, and they were like, "Oh, the power's been out like all day." So the poor people at the movie theater, just all the shit that they're probably going through with angry customers and people mad because I mean, Infinity War is just going to be like the biggest opening, but they got the power on right before our movie, so it was like smooth sailing. I didn't think anything of it, and then right at that part when it starts, uh, power went out. It's just like, oh. And so my wife had to leave to go pick up our kids. Um,
oh
right before like the very end. So she missed like 5 minutes of the movie. But I was just like, that sucks. Like how lame. And everybody in the theater was like, we want our money back. Like, I just want to see the movie. Like
yeah.
I don't even give a shit anymore. I've been waiting for so long. I have avoided every spoiler possible for Infinity War and for Deadpool. I'm at a point now where I feel like there's no like comic book appearance that they could like tease that I'd be like, oh shit, I have to hurry and go buy. I've got a lot of the stuff like in my own collection now where it's like there's nothing that would really catch me off guard. But I thought going into Infinity War there was really nothing that they could surprise me with as far as like those kind of things. But man, it was great. That's all I'll really say about it. It was good. We don't have to go too far into like Marvel movies.
Yeah. No, I think both of those are good movies. I think Infinity War just was a bit of a letdown because it's so clearly the first half of a story. It's not like, you know what I mean? Like it's not really
Yeah.
the end of the movie is kind of the end of that movie, but it's clearly not the end of the movie.
The one thing I want to like say about it too, like there's a lot of people who would post online like memes where it's like going into Infinity War and it's like happy shit, and then going out of it you're just like all somber and like, oh man, like what did I just see? Like it's funny, but it was kind of true. Like when I thought when that movie was over, I was just like, wow, like I can't really believe that they do that with like a blockbuster movie, like set the tone that way for like what's to come next.
Yeah, I remember how loud and just raucous the theater was during my screening of Infinity War, and for the last like few minutes of the movie, everybody was just dead silent. And yeah. Um,
Yeah, I was
so
in a theater where every time someone appeared on screen for the first time, people were like clapping and woo, like when like the Scarlet Witch fight, Scarlet Witch and Vision get attacked, and then Black Widow and Captain America show up. People were like, yeah, woo! And like every time anybody showed up, it was just like that. And then the end of the movie was just like you could have heard a pin drop in that theater, man.
yeah, no, that was totally the same. Um, the one thing I'll say about Deadpool 2 is uh, while we were watching, um, it got towards the end of the movie, and this guy that showed up, like we got there early just because we had nothing going on, and there were a couple other people that showed up super early. This one dude showed up with a Deadpool shirt on, just super jacked, stoked about the movie, couldn't be more excited. Um, so the movie's going, everything's great, and it gets to almost the end of the movie, and one of the things that happens toward the end of the movie, that guy, got up and just like loudly, so everybody in the theater heard him, said what was happening on screen in a like disgusted way, and literally walked out of the theater. He just left. And it's like, dude, you didn't even see how that whole thing turned out. Like, he's all mad about what was happening at that moment. And it was like, dude, you got to watch the rest of the movie to see what actually happens. Like, you don't know, like, if, because in these big movies, when there's like twists and stuff or whatever, and I don't mean there's like, oh, it's a big twist, they were all dead. It's nothing like that. But it is like, you don't know what certain things are going to mean, right? Like sometimes something could be looking like one thing and it might turn out to be another. And yeah, if you don't stay and watch the actual end of the movie, you don't know whether or not you're mad at the end of the movie. But that guy is probably going to be going around yelling about how terrible the end of Deadpool was, and he didn't even watch the end of the movie.
He's probably at home right now setting all of his Deadpool stuff on fire, crying in the shower.
He's just so mad. And like it wasn't even something to get mad about, in my opinion. But like if you are going to get mad about it, at least see how it plays out for the rest of the movie. But anyway,
I'll definitely have to keep that kind of reference in mind when I do see it.
well, and I don't think it's something that I don't expect you or really hardly anybody to get to that point near the end of the movie and be like, oh, I'm storming out. I'm done. It was
Oh no, I don't think
ridiculous
that's
to
what
begin
happened. I
with.
mean, I'm just saying like I'm gonna like think about like I'm sure it will happen like when I'm watching the movie. This conversation will come up and I'll be like, okay, what is it that could come up and happen that would make me be like, I got to get out of here, or like would make somebody be like that, Because I feel
Yeah,
like that the first movie really does push a lot of boundaries as far as like levels of violence and kind of like even like the crude humor, that the superhero movies
sure.
have, and people take their kids to these movies. No one should take their kids to Deadpool, you
There was
know.
a moment at the beginning. There was a moment at the beginning where like Ryan Reynolds Deadpool is doing like a voiceover thing over like some other stuff that's going on, and he's just like, and there was a fight, and he's like, I bet you're glad you didn't bring your kids to this, huh? But it is a family movie. It was good. Anyway, so obviously fun stuff, good times, positive vibes.
Oh
On the
yeah,
other side of that coin, with some negativity, there was some bad news today for Valiant fans.
a bit. Yeah, Adam Freeman's like his promotion didn't last very long. He's already out the door. Off to go get involved in some yoga or something like that.
I'm curious what happened, but I'm sure that we'll never get that peek behind the curtain.
It's weird too because it seemed like at least since I had seen him at WonderCon and seeing his presence like online, he's been pretty gung ho about the company. He's really proud about the promotion and everything like that. That he got him and three other people were promoted. And then just like for that to kind of happen today, I thought was like really weird. It's just like wow, like you're just already done. Like, and I think about it like in like this though too. Everybody he's worked with, like since he's been there, is gone pretty much.
Except for Fred, basically.
Yeah, Fred's the only guy left really. And maybe Peter Stern, I guess, is still there. But so I mean, There's really no one left though. I mean, like, and I think now it's gonna be an interesting kind of transition going to shows, and you're not gonna know anyone at the panel or at the booth. But I mean, like, best of luck to him. I mean, you know, I know, like, if you follow him on like Facebook, he's always talking about yoga. Like whenever they go to do shows anywhere, he's always looking for like someone to do yoga like before everything. So, if that's what you're into, that's cool. Like he still said like when he was leaving, that there's lots of cool stuff coming up for Valiant. So hopefully it's true. Best of luck to him.
Yeah, definitely wish him well and where whatever he does next, and hopefully things continue to go well with the company. What I've said a bunch of times is, some people didn't like Ninjak versus the Valiant Universe. Other people are already assuming that the Bloodshot movie with Vin Diesel is going to be terrible and all this other stuff. And to me, like, even if you accept that Ninjak versus was bad, which personally I don't think it was, but even if I granted that it was, and then even if I granted that it's a guarantee the Bloodshot movie is going to be bad, which I also don't believe, but for the sake of argument, let's assume those two things are true. They still don't affect or impact my enjoyment as a Valiant fan. I got into Valiant for the comics, and I'm not going to lose sight of that. As long as the comics are enjoyable to read and meaningful, I'm going to continue reading them. I'm going to stay on board, and I'm going to continue doing this show.
Yeah. That's the way I am too. Like, I mean, like a lot of it's just weird to me, like how Valiant fans are so fickle on this. Like, not all, but like some people are just like, oh, I hate the series and I hate everything that's going on, and I'm just gonna be so negative about everything. But the books are still good right now. I mean, here's the thing: I've seen a ton of shitty superhero movies, in the last 20 years, and they don't impact my enjoyment of the comics that are referenced from those. There are bad Spider-Man movies, there are Batman movies I don't like, but they're still good Batman and Spider-Man comics. I'm still gonna keep reading them. Maybe not
Yeah.
as much the new stuff, but
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna go back and still read old books that I like. And it's the same thing
If
with Valiant.
Batman gets good again, I'll read that.
Oh man, I don't even want to go down that road, man.
I went to
I
pick up comics today, and they had like these postcards, wedding invitations for Bruce and Selena getting married, and I was so disgusted. Anyway, yeah,
well,
we
like,
don't have
okay,
to go down that road.
real quick, I'm gonna get this off my fucking chest. Okay, so I'm 47 issues into Tom King's mediocre fucking Batman run. And I mean, like, it's had some good moments. But to me, it's had like a lot of moments where I'm just kind of like, huh? Like, it's just nothing special. And I'm just like, at what point do I drop it now? Because I've fucking collected Batman for a long time, man. Like, I got all the new 52 stuff, and before that, I've got like a good run. And I'm just like, God, am I to the point now where I would drop it? Like, I sat through some shitty stuff. But I'm definitely not happy. I'm hoping like it picks up after this wedding nonsense, which it is. It's stupid. But
Well,
but
we
anyway,
should talk about some comics that are good.
yeah. But real quick back to the Valiant stuff. I just think like, you know what, like if you're not happy with this with like the Ninjak series, Ninjak's still the best book, man.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't, I mean, to me, I think like the overall reaction I've gotten from most people about Ninjak versus the Valiant Universe, and I've missed whatever conversation you guys might have had of the week that I missed, but it seems like a lot of people are really positive on it, and I think that if that wasn't the case, they wouldn't have kept it up on comicbook.com.
Right.
I really do think that the outpouring emotion of fans saying things, people writing about it, people leaving every single bit of like review or IMDb review or all those kind of things. I think those things really affected the powers that be that were like, hey, we're going to keep it up. And I just don't think that happens if it's a bad series.
Yeah.
Because I've seen some people
Yeah.
critique it like so hard that they're like, oh, the fight choreography is terrible. And the the intro is terrible. The music's bad. Everything's bad. But it's like, it's not, like you can say you don't like it, and I'm not saying that there's not things you can't critique. Like you could critique some things about it, but like some of that
Sure.
stuff's done pretty well to the point where I think you can just, it's not bad. It's just you don't like it.
Right.
I see
Yeah,
some,
and I think that a lot of times people don't understand the difference between those two statements. I don't like it and it's bad. Um, But whatever, everybody's entitled to their opinion. I'm not going to get too busted up about it.
I
So we
know I
have,
enjoy it. I know you enjoyed it. That's what matters
yeah.
for us, you know.
Um, but okay, so we have two books that we're going to review. I was somehow convinced that we had three books to review, but that's because we've gotten to read um, we've gotten to read issue one of Harbinger Wars 2. Did you read that?
I did.
Okay, I read it too, and we're not going to get into spoilers of that, but curious, what's your impression of it, having read it without any spoilers? What are you
I think
thinking?
it's okay, but I think the thing that I think when we go into our conversation about Ninjak or Ninja K, we'll kind of bring to light some issues I actually have a little bit with Harbinger Wars 2 right now. And one thing too is that the Prelude issue was like the most perfect book to launch this. It was just incredible. I loved it so much. I mean, it was just like the best thing that like to get me excited about a miniseries that's going to happen. I thought that. I mean, I just thought everything that Eric Eisner did with it was great, and it's okay, but it's not Eric Eisner good. That's all. We gotta stop. We gotta stop. We didn't want to get into
Yeah,
it.
I enjoyed that first issue, but I don't know. We'll get deeper into it when I
That's like
arrive.
next
What,
week,
next
right?
week? Yeah, something
It's
like
next week
that.
or a
Um,
week after. Sometime it's gonna happen.
it's
Sometime
coming soon.
it's gonna happen. Okay.
Yeah. It's not bad though by any means.
No, it's not bad. But I mean,
Okay.
I hate that we're saying it like that now because it makes it sound like it's like not good. When we're
Yeah,
both like, it's not bad. It's not terrible.
not the worst thing I've ever read.
No, it's not. It's not like. It's
No, it
not
was
like.
good. It was good. I want to talk about it more when we can talk about it in depth because I think that there are some things that I really want to dig into with it, but we'll get to
I
that
had
point.
I had some conversations with people through like Facebook private message about it who were kind of like, yeah, I kind of get what you're feeling. I wrote a review about it too, which is out there. Someone really wants to know ahead of time, but we'll get into it later. Another
Okay.
time.
So, first book we're going to talk about Bloodshot, Salvation, numero, what is this, 9? Yeah. Same
I
cover.
have the same cover with
Look at that.
Bloodhound on it.
Um, so just for anybody that from here on out, we're going to talk about Bloodshot Salvation number 1 or number 9, excuse me,
Spoilers.
and Ninja K number 7. Yeah, it's going to get spoilery as fuck up in here. What the fuck are you doing?
I don't even know. I'm just spoiling it.
Yeah. Good times. That's your spoiler
Oh yeah.
dance, I guess. Um, this issue was fucking tough to read, man. And I don't mean that in a like, oh, this was bad, because it was really good. It was really well written, but it was fucking tough, man. That was a rough read for me. I don't know.
No, I totally agree. This goes back to something that I remember having a conversation with somebody a long time ago when the Wolverine miniseries Origin came out, the first Origin, when they finally told the history of Wolverine. It's okay. Violence against animals sometimes just bothers the shit out of me. Like it's just one of those things, right? When you see like a dog fucking getting hurt or something like that, I'm always just kind of like, oh, I don't want to really see that. You know, I mean, like it's one thing if you were just like if you did 30 issues of somebody shooting deer, I would be like, who gives a fuck? Go slaughter a pig for 30 issues. I don't kill
uh,
humans. I don't care. But like household pets, sometimes it's just like, oh,
well, and there were things in this issue like these dogs getting sent to like get wrapped up in barbed wire, and like one of the dogs was being used basically for target practice for
yeah,
by a sniper.
yeah,
Like that's some brutal shit there, man. Like it's
oh,
bad enough if that happens to a person, but for it to happen to an innocent dog,
yeah.
ugh.
And you know what? I was like, when I first opened the issue, like the first page, I was like, oh my god, this book is beautiful. The Renato Gaitis art.
Yeah,
But then later on,
this is beautiful right there. That I
oh,
don't know how well
it
you can
is.
see the dead bodies, dead
Yeah,
rotting bodies.
but it comes back at the same time when you're looking at like dogs wrapped up in barbed wire, and you're just like, fuck, dogs getting killed. You're just like, oh. maybe we should have just went with like some all black pages on that. But I mean, you know what? Like as
uh,
far as this issue goes, and I mean, like, and I think it's kind of rough. You know, I mean, like, I have some like sensitive things I'm sensitive to. Like, you know, no one wants to see their pet get killed or anything like that, or an animal. But it was a great issue. You know, I thought it was a really interesting one as far as like giving like a little bit of insight into like how long people have been working on like the technology that kind of powers the whole Bloodshot program. I thought that part of it was pretty interesting because this is World War One.
it was nice to get the backstory on Bloodhound too, like that part of it. Just for that alone, it was nice. But honestly, like just the brutality of what those dogs went through, that was really tough to read.
Maybe
Yeah,
you can
I
channel that into a death metal song. Dogs and barbed wire.
I've got friends who actually have a band called Mastiff, and
Oh.
they already do that. They've got songs about shit like that, basically. But
Mhm.
maybe I'll tell them to read this comic. But it was brutal, dude. The thing is, like, we see so much brutality, like human on human brutality, that we're kind of like jaded to that. And then you throw a dog or a group of dogs in the mix, and it's like, oh, come on, man, have a heart.
Well, and I do think that like the realistic art that was
Yeah,
here, like I think like whether it's like appropriate or not, like I just thought like man, like the art was just like so incredible. It's so lifelike at
yeah.
times to me, where it's like it really made it seem like such a real endeavor going on within the issue. But I did think it was a good issue, man. I have no complaints really about the issue as far as like the story itself. My only complaint with it is that like, you know, kind of like how the whole overall storyline is going, where, you know, previous to this, you know, Shadow Man and Bloodshot were working together, and Bloodshot ends up in 4002, and then this. And that's kind of where I'm just like, oh, like I feel like was this maybe like meant like as a zero issue almost
Right.
or something else, but you know, aside from like the weird structure to the entire storyline, it was still a great issue. I thought it was really compelling stuff to read.
Yeah, I think that that's something that we have mentioned with several titles from Valiant. They're kind of weird about doing those zero issues, things that feel like zero issues, but they're doing it in the middle of an arc or in the middle of a run.
Like
And it's just
Renegades,
such a weird
obviously,
placement.
is like the one that I always think of, where it's like all that stuff with the alpha just seems like it wasn't meant to just go like as an issue six.
Yeah, it's the same thing with Quantum and Woody, the Kibblesmith run on Quantum and Woody. That issue
Third issue.
3 was just like what the fuck out of nowhere.
Well,
And
and I wonder if it is interference with editorial or with Valiant because like there was something that Derek Robertson posted, maybe even either today or yesterday, about some pages that he still had from Renegade before there was a change in the structure of the story. And
hmm,
so I was wondering if maybe after I'd read this issue, I was like, I wonder if that's kind of something that happens with Valiant sometimes, where there's like, nope, change the flow, you know, like change how it's going. We need that dog killing issue here instead of like 4002. You know, give us some more dog killing.
yeah. For me, I mean, this was a really strong issue. I mean, the writing is really well done. Jeff Lemire and Ray Fox did a great job on that. This Renato Gaitis, I think that he's really nailed down his style, this style that he does, and I think it works really well. And like I said, I mean, it was a really well done issue. I would probably give it like a 4.25. I think it's really strong. Um, but I don't know, man. I have a hard time like recommending somebody read this unless they're like a really big Bloodhound fan. Then I would be like, well, you got to know his origin, so check out Bloodshot Salvation 9. Beyond that, I would almost say you could skip this issue if you're like trying to read Bloodshot's story.
Yeah, you know, like I think a lot about like when like because I'm such a big fan of the deluxe editions. I just think like when you collect the story, like how would you collect this? Like, would you just interrupt the story like in a deluxe edition just to put this right in the middle? Like it
Yeah, I
almost
would put
works.
it at the beginning or at the end, probably at the end.
Yeah, totally. You know what? It's hard for me to score it. Like I'm probably like around where you're at. Like I have really high feelings for it, so I'd probably go about 4.25. really, like I said, my only issue is just like my own reservations about seeing like dogs hurt. You know, no, I
That's
don't.
that's my problem with it too.
Yeah, but like I mean, but if you were to like remove dogs from it, and if it was like something else that you don't really feel so strongly about, which would just make it silly then. But I probably wouldn't care as much. But
Yeah.
I mean, like I think about like I have one pet, I have a cat, and it's just like I hate seeing violence against cats. You know, so but it was a good issue. That brings up a question though with me. Because I know that you're a comic book reader of like the last like 6-7 years, right?
Something like that.
Have you ever read We Three?
No.
Oh man, I would love for you to read We Three and tell me what you think about it because it's a Grant Morrison book. It's about weaponized.
Oh, you just turned me off.
Why? That shouldn't just automatically turn you off
Yeah, it should.
just because of Grant Morrison.
Absolutely. You put his name on anything and it's a near guarantee I'm not going to care.
Well, okay, but if you ever get the chance, I would love to see what you think about We Three because it's a whole book about the army taking like household pets and turning them into weapons.
It was a
And
shit book, really poorly written.
no, it's like incredible. I've
It's
never
a,
met.
it's
There,
really
I
poorly written.
no. If you even meet someone who doesn't like that book, I'd be surprised.
Okay,
But I mean,
but
but
getting into this bad boy right here, Ninja K, numero
pre-order
7.
edition cover right here.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, I like it, man. Very
It's a
colorful.
good
I thought the previous issues cover, the pre-order edition cover was really colorful too. Really, the purples really stood out.
I really like. There's some good humor. There's some good character moments in terms of character relationship moments in here, like Livewire and Ninjak. Seeing Ninjak's reaction to Punk Mambo was pretty hilarious. What
Punk
I really
Mambo.
like about this is that it feels like a reason to get a team together, and they're going up against a legitimate threat. And that makes it. That was one of the things that we had talked about with the Unity run that Kent did. Is a lot of times it was tough to feel like they were really going up against a big enough threat to justify the Unity team. And I feel like this book has really this arc so far, the Coalition has done a great job of throwing a legitimate enough threat at Ninjak for him to bring a team together like this. And they're obviously, even as a team, they still have their hands full.
Yeah, like, and speaking of like threats, like the Jonin totally like takes out Ginger with like a hit in the head with a mace. Like I thought that was
Yeah,
incredible. And the thing is, like, the way the story is structured, it makes total sense. Like that he can do that. You know, and one thing I want to go back
because it
and look.
was Koski's.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
Kosi's like special mace that has like like magical properties to it. I think that like you really nailed it when you were talking about like the great character moments and things like that. I love the like first moment with like Dr. Mirage talking to Ninjak and how like Livewire's like, well, I can feel energy. I don't feel anything else, but there's like a weird energy. And Dr. Mirage kind of like shakes up Colin a little bit where she's like, you should hear what the spirits around you have to say or something like that. And he's just
that
kind
was
of like,
good.
he's just like quiet. And I thought like also kind of a humorous moment. I'm not sure if it was meant to be, but I found it humorous was like after they fought the zombies and Punk Mambo's talking to Dr. Mirage's husband. And obviously you don't hear any of his dialogue, or you don't even see him. But I just thought like it was just kind of a cool moment. Like this book is just so well written. And
Yeah. My favorite moment, I think, from the whole comic, and there are actually some really awesome moments in this book,
yeah,
which is tough to pull off in a single 22-page issue. But yeah, there's some really awesome moments in here. My favorite moment is when Dr. Mirage is like, "Oh, I suggested someone to Mr. Alcott, and wouldn't you know it, he said she'd been on Dead Side missions with you. We're gonna pick her up next." And Ninjak is just pissed. He's a bastard. Neville's an absolute bloody bastard. He's all mad about it. And Livewire is just getting a kick out of how upset he's going. He's like, I want to meet this person that gets a rise out of you like this. And I just thought that was awesome. There's such good character moments. And Punk Mambo is a great character, and she's handled perfectly in this.
yeah. It's weird to think. that there's that much dislike for him, because I didn't feel like there was that much dislike coming out of Rapture, but it makes for like a really great like reaction from everyone though, you know, like because it seems like everybody's on the same page, but like Colin's just the one guy that like everybody else can get along, but maybe Colin can't quite get along with everyone.
Yeah.
I think there's a really great dynamic here. This would be like, I'll tell you what, like, I mean, I know we're only 2 issues into this, and this is really only the first issue where we get the coalition together, but I already hope there's more coalition in the works later on. Because
Yeah, I
I think
really
like
like the
already
team dynamic. Yeah.
yeah, it's just fun. Like I know we say that a lot about books on here, but we're always like, this is fun. And maybe that sounds like kind of like a simple way to enjoy a book, but like fun books are the best, you know? Like I like seeing those kind of like moments where they're not necessarily like fighting with each other. Like I think a lot of team books do that too much where they're too much at each other's throats. Where they're just not maybe getting along quite as well as they should. That's okay. Like it's okay if like Colin's the grumpy one, because I feel like he would be the one who'd be
He
grumpy.
would be. And that was one of the things I thought Ninjak Versus did well, is show him like being a dick to everybody else on the team. And I think that this is perfect with him. You know, he likes Livewire. They get along really well, so he's not having a problem with her. And then it gets into Dr. Mirage, and he's okay with her, but he doesn't like her whole magic thing with the ghosts and all that stuff. And he's just like, keep that shit away from me. It's like, you do your whole thing. I just keep me out of it. And then Punk Mambo, and he's like, son of a bitch. And he just, yeah, I thought that was awesome. It's nice to see Ginger back in action.
Yeah,
And yeah, the action at the end of this, you know, the fighting of the zombies, and then the action at the end of this issue when they go up against the coalition is actually the bad guys, I think.
yeah.
I don't know
But
if
you
this
know,
team has a name, but
yeah, it was weird even too. Like I thought the moment when they kind of get briefed by Neville about what they're going up against, I thought even that was so well done because I thought that Ninjak kind of gave a really legitimate answer to what they should do. Like we was just like, we got Ginger, we should just take them out from space. You
yeah,
know, just blast the whole area and you know the people that are working with them, they're not innocent. You know, they know what they've gotten themselves into. And I just thought, like, for a superhero book to kind of like have that be like the rationale, I thought that was pretty ballsy. You know, you wouldn't see that in like Justice League. You know, you wouldn't see that in the Avengers, where it's like, hey, you know what? Let's just kill them all right now because we know that they're all bad, and they're all. I mean, and these are all characters that are kind of like unkillable. So
right,
I just thought that was a great way to like kind of approach the situation. Even though they didn't do that, I did
right.
think you know that was just a really. I thought that was kind of a clever way to approach it.
Yeah, I think that this book, it's going to take a lot. This book is either going to have to dive in quality, or another book is going to have to really rise to the occasion in order for this to be unseated as Valiant's best book right now. This just um Gage's writing is so on point. I thought the last issue was a really good intro for this arc, and this issue just feels like a perfect follow up to that. It, I can't imagine it being much better. Um, so I mean, his writing is great, and I think that the art, you know, we got great art in that first arc, and now we're getting this one Jose Reap, and it's still just awesome. Like he's nailing these characters, the facial expressions, the interactions. I mean, they're so well written and then perfectly executed visually. I just Yeah, I mean, this is such a solid book. It's easily, like I said, easily the best thing coming out from Valiant. It's got to be it's probably the best. It's within the top two of the best things on my pull list right now. And yeah, it's definitely a high quality book. I would give this issue a 4.75. I think it's extremely strong. This was a really strong week. If it wasn't for all the innocent dogs getting murdered in Bloodshot Salvation, this would have been a near perfect week.
Yeah, I actually will go a tiny bit higher than you. I thought this book was a perfect five. Like when I was done reading it, I was just like, I can't even believe how much I love this book. You know, and a year ago, if you would have said that Bloodshot Salvation would be okay and Ninjak would be the best thing, I would be like, you're probably crazy. You know, just because of how much I loved Reborn. But man, I mean, it's weird too because I buy other books that Chris Gage writes, and I don't feel like they're this strong. Like I buy all the ROM stuff that IDW puts out. I own every ROM issue ever put out, and he's been doing that. He's been doing all the ROM stuff with like the Micronauts, and they're good. I like them, you know. But for me, there's a little bit of like the nostalgia of being a kid reading ROM. I know that plays into it. Whereas here, I'm just like, I can't believe how good the writing is. Like, I mean, it just fucking blows me away. So, I mean, I feel like I need to read more Chris Gage. You know, I mean, I know there's also like the aspect of like you can write certain characters a certain way. So maybe like doing like espionage kind of stuff and secret mission stuff. Maybe that plays more to like his ability as a writer, because I know he wrote some Deadshot stuff that was way good too. But yeah, I think this is easily the best book Valiant does.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, it would be really hard to top this book.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that overall, like I said before, this is a really strong week. I'm super stoked on, you know, today was a great day. We get to talk about these books, and I got to go see Deadpool 2. Can't really complain. And I just, yeah, I hope that, with another departure at Valiant headquarters, I just hope that the comics stay strong moving forward. Obviously, it's not, as much as it sucks to lose Adam Freeman, it's not like he was, writing the books or anything like that. So I don't see his departure having much of an impact
Yeah.
on the
It stinks
quality
in
of
the
the
way
book.
like that's a guy that reacts to like us fans, I think, more
Right.
than it does like, oh, sales lost a guy. Because he is like a guy who does kind of banter around with people on Facebook or other places. He's a guy that you could contact through, private message. He'd respond to you, or he would respond through email. He's like, to me, he's like Andy League, like Andy Legal, or however his name was pronounced. He was always a great guy to talk to at shows or to talk to it on Facebook, kind of like Dinesh, But it is what it is. Hopefully, like, it's not nothing that like slows things down.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, we'll have to see. It's concerning to wonder what that means for the future of the company with so many, old guard, quote unquote, had taken off. But at the same time, I mean, hopefully the creative teams stay strong and we'll be good to go. But speaking of moving forward and great creative teams, Shadow and Man #3 is coming out next week, so that's going to be absolutely awesome. And then
Yes,
we are also getting Exo Manowar #15. So it looks like those are the two books that'll be coming out next week on the 23rd.
that's the
So
first issue of the is it Barbarians, that was called?
yes, the first issue of the Barbarian arc, which I'm not really looking forward to, but I'll be very happy if I'm
Same
pleasantly
here.
surprised by it.
Same here, man. And I kind of hate feeling like that a little bit with the Valiant book, where I'm just like, I don't even care that it's coming out.
Yeah, I
But
just want to get to the end of this barbarian thing and get him back to the present day on Earth and see where it's going to go from there. But at the same time, I mean, this may be a very well written, well drawn arc, and maybe we'll really enjoy it. I'm not going to shut myself off from that possibility, and
well,
we'll just have
I
to read
feel
it and
like
see.
it feels like Venditti, always did these like moments where he went back to like RX past, and they were always really good when Venditti did it. So maybe that will be something too that can do.
Yeah,
See how it
I
is.
hope so. And Shadow Man 3 is great. I'm really excited to see that. Both the first two issues of this run have been really strong. So I'm really excited to see where the book goes from here. I think that is a comic with a lot of potential. And I think that
Mhm.
if anything at Valiant has the chance of becoming the new best book they're publishing, it's probably Shadow Man. That's, I think, the one with the best chance of dethroning Ninja K right now. Is it going to happen? I don't know. I'm not holding my breath, but I think it's the one that's got the best chance.
It's probably, well, I don't know. I feel like if the only thing I think with Bloodshot is if Bloodshot just picked up the pace a little bit, like it
Yeah.
would just have like a little bit more action, like on Bloodshot's end.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a suspense book right now. Like, that's what I feel like Bloodshot Salvation is. Reborn was very much an action comic, and I feel like Salvation is a suspense comic. And I just, I think I would enjoy if it was another action comic, but I also understand that Lemire wants to take a different approach. I don't blame him for that, but hopefully we figure out what's going on in 4002 and the action picks up and we'll see where it goes from there. But
Yeah.
yeah, late episode. I'm ready to go lay down. Uh, thanks for letting me start late. Thanks for dealing with me having to go see Deadpool.
Anytime, man.
Thanks to anybody checking us out. Hopefully, you guys enjoy our episodes and come tune in with us next week when we'll be back to our regularly scheduled time of 9 p.m. Central next Thursday. But thanks everybody. I'm going to sign off. I'm Eric Baumgard.
I'm Josh Rathman.
And I hope that you all have a great week and stay valiant.
Chimichanga.